Me?
Nice and long, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thanks almighty!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. This is old Alan Autry. So honored and humbled to have you with us today, live. We still have the courage to go live. So anything that happens, it happens. Anything that's said is said.
Beware.
Can't be edited out. I don't know why. Why do I do this, Phil? Do I?
Yeah. The things you were saying right now. Yeah, beware.
I mean, do I have a hidden cancellation will or desire to get canceled? I mean, why am I don't know, just something about live. I was always kind of afraid of that till I did my first sitcom. I always admired theater actors because as a regular actor, you can go cut, do it again, and they see the final product after it's been edited. The only people who are watching are the director, some crew people. They don't care. So you're just kind of doing it alone there. So there's not that pressure factor of having a live audience. And I'll never forget when I did my first sitcom. I mean, I tell you, it was a gut check. I hadn't been that scared. I mean, I was more at ease facing the Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters, the Steel Curtain, the Pittsburgh Steelers as a quarterback, than I was getting ready to make my entrance in front of that live audience. But I liked it. It was kind of strange. There was a strange attraction to it.
And what's the kind
So I'll just keep doing it live every now and then. We'll have a delayed tape. It's not tape anymore. It's video. People still call it tape. Professional sports, they still call it tape. Well, I have to look at the tape first before I make a decision on the next quarterback. No, you got to look at the next video. You got to look at the video, but people still call it tape. But you know what I'm talking about. Yes, Philip.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what was that first historic sitcom that the Alan Autry was on?
Well, it was the first was it was called Best of the West. That was the one I was really scared of. But I did several. I did Grace Under Fire, played Brett Butler's boyfriend for a year. I did a thing called with Gene Smart called, gosh, what was the name of it? But she played like a, well, she won an Emmy last night. That's who she is. Or the series Hacks that she's in now beat out The Bear, which is a streaming show for Best Comedy.
Surprise.
She was, Style and Substance was the name of it. She played a Martha Stewart character. Martha didn't like the way Gene was portraying her. Called Les Moonves, the head of CBS, and said, nope, I don't want this. Cancel it. Les did.
Yeah. Because
at that time, Martha Stewart was the queen bee there on the network. So that's how things go. But I had a really good time on that with her.
Did you watch The Bear? I apologize, but The Bear, that was an upset. The Bear is an amazing show. I love that show.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
It really
Jeremy
is.
Allen White, I met him.
Did you meet him? Nice
guy?
guy?
Yeah, nice guy. Yeah, he was just, my wife and I were down south, and we're doing some anniversary stuff, and ran into him, and before he was big. He was on Shameless, I guess.
Oh, yeah. That was, my wife enjoyed that show. Kind of rough, though.
Yeah,
Shameless at the end last season was like
very shameful.
They say that. That's a little bit too much for the old man here. But anyway, as Clint Black would say in his song "Killing Time," I'm killing time before this next story because you know what it is. It's live. So this happened yesterday. If you haven't heard, and I'm sure you have, there was a second attempt on former President Trump's life. Shocking, yes. Unexpected, no. I don't know about you all. Iran has put a contract out on him. Various people around the country who really hate liberty, who hate freedom. And I'm talking about folks at home, and they go, I hear it out there. Oh, well, here you go. Listen, I'm not condoning the tweets. I'm not condoning his salty language, his behavior at times. I'm talking about the policies that he's absolutely committed to, which are freedom, lower taxes so people can have more money in their pockets to reach their dreams here in America, to have a secure border, to have law and order in the streets, to have peace through strength abroad, to be energy independent, to have kids and parents have a school choice. All of those things are things that he has proven he is steadfastly going to support regardless of what happens. Now, some people questioned whether push comes to shove or put under extreme heat, political and otherwise, would former President Trump fold? And I'm not speaking as an advocate for him. I happen to adhere to many of his policies and his behavior. But they thought about this. They thought if they could impeach him twice on these bogus charges that he colluded with the Russians, which was a total fabrication from the get-go. Impeached him with a phone call to Zelensky, and Zelensky said there's nothing wrong. He never tried to buy me. He never did anything like that. Impeached him again on that. Made up indictments. Did gain-of-function experiments. Alvin Bragg did, Jack Smith and Fonnie Willis in Atlanta, and turned misdemeanors and also things that weren't even a crime at all, weren't even a misdemeanor, and formed gain-of-function experiments on them and turned them into felonies that, if convicted, could send him to prison for the rest of his life, something that had never been done before, all hoping and thinking that this will be the one that makes him tap out. This will be the one that'll make him walk away, cower in a corner, tell all of his MAGA folks, hey, it's been a good ride, but I'm 88 and out the gate. I'm done. I can't take it anymore. And who would blame the guy if he said that? But that wasn't the end of it. He takes a bullet to his freaking head at a rally. Now, I'm not going to speak for what other politicians might have done. I've got my gut feelings. I probably would have him get me out of here. That wouldn't be a sign of weakness. It'd be a sign of, hey, just get me out of here. I don't know if I would have said, no, wait here, because the country needs me. These people are here. They're not running. And I'm going to show that some two-bit assassin cannot destroy the American dream of freedom and liberty for all, to those that stand for those that have been left behind. That's his ideology, whether you like him or not, whether you think it's off color, which I do, when he says a celebrity can grab a woman any place. Horrible. But those policies of freedom and liberty for all is something not only has he espoused, he has proven through his policy. And he got up, stuck his fist in the air, and said, fight on. Fight, fight, fight. So you look at him, and what will it take to make people believe this man does believe what he says he believes, that he loves his country, he's willing to fight for his country, and for those principles of law and order, a secure border, financial, economic opportunity for every American, from the poorest to the richest, to not get involved in endless wars overseas that we always cut and run from. That if America's interests are involved there, we will be there. But we're not going to go there and watch American lives being destroyed and families being destroyed, all the while knowing we can't go the distance, we won't go the distance, and we'll be leaving that country just like Iraq, just like Afghanistan, just like Vietnam, and to a certain degree, just like Korea. He says, I don't want to get involved in wars like that. I'm going to be dang sure that we are going to stay the distance, that the war is worthy enough. Okay? What's it going to take for y'all to understand this is what the man believes? Another assassination attempt? Well, it looks like it, and I'm looking forward to hearing what people have to say about this, because I know one thing. The guy's not going to cut and run. This time, again, if you haven't heard, the former president, was golfing at his golf course there in Palm Beach. I believe he was on the 6th hole. He had security with him, the United States Secret Service, under a lot of fire, and they should be, because what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, there was no excuse for the sloppy way they did things, just unforgivable. And even they have said so and promised to improve. But he had the Secret Service agents there with him on either side while he's hitting the golf ball down the golf course. And then again, as I said, I think it was on the 6th hole that, to his credit, a Secret Service agent saw what he discerned to be a rifle barrel sticking out through a fence through the bushes. Well, the would-be assassin that came within a millimeter of killing the president in Butler, the Secret Service hesitated when they saw all of the indications that there was somebody there who shouldn't be there and should be stopped. From the moment that young man was spotted by citizens, you could just smell something was up with this guy. But the Secret Service didn't do anything. They were alerted by local law enforcement. Hey, there's a dude here trying to get up on the building, and they were late on the trigger. Thank goodness there was one who got a shot off. But after many shots were fired and President was wounded, and another gentleman was killed, and 2 others wounded before the law enforcement official, the sharpshooter, got him and killed him. This time, to their credit, the Secret Service agent didn't hesitate. He got off shots. He saw it. It processed in his brain, brought out his gun, and shot in the direction of that gun barrel. Apparently, the fellow by the name of Ryan Ruth, we'll talk a little bit more about him in a moment, was the man holding that rifle. He proceeded to drop it and run like the coward that he is, and jumped in his black Nissan. Thankfully, a citizen, man, we've got some citizen heroes. It was citizens in Butler, Pennsylvania, that first saw the would-be assassin. They were alert. They were watching, much more alert, apparently, than the law enforcement detail that was there. But a citizen saw the man running from the bushes, jump in the truck, the Nissan truck, zoom off, but he was able to take a picture of the license plate. And very shortly after that, I believe on the freeway, that Mr. Ryan Ruth was pulled over and arrested without incident. We'll talk a little bit more about his background in a moment. But I want to commend the Secret Service agent for his quick action, because here's what could have happened. That barrel sticking out of there from that distance may not have been a gun barrel. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it was a groundskeeper sticking something else through the bushes or whatever, a piece of cleaning instrument, whatever. There was not 100% proof that that was a gun from that distance. But that agent had to make a decision, and he made it quick, and he said it's a bigger risk not to shoot my gun in that direction than there is to shoot. Knowing full well, if it is somebody else, there will be no forgiveness. There will be no forgiveness by the system. He will be just a quick-triggered, and God forbid if he's a white Christian male. We're going to get to that on the article. I don't know if we get to it today, but tomorrow, because I'll read the whole article. It's just so crazy. If you're a white Christian male, man, you get no breaks from the press. You get no breaks from those in the Democratic Party. You get no great breaks from the intellectual elite that seem to run this country. So I don't know who it was. But if it was a white Christian male, it's even more of a credit in this respect, because he knows if he's wrong, He's probably done, not only at the Secret Service, but he and his family will be targeted, especially if what he fired, he killed someone who was innocent and not a potential assassin. Boy, wouldn't you love to be in a job where you had to make those decisions every day? I don't know what makes folks get into law enforcement. I've been told by a lot of cops that the reason many of it do it is because somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it, and they feel they've been tagged, you're it. They have this calling inside them to protect the people, even people they don't know, and many times people that hate them, that they can do that. I don't think I could. I admire those who do. And have that, thank God, or what kind of chaos would we be living in? We have enough chaos going on now. But anyway, commending to them. Now let's get to this guy, Ruth. Apparently, the New York Post is reporting that Ryan Ruth posted on social media, quote, "We must not forget that democracy is on the ballot come this November." Sound familiar? Democracy on the ballot? Pretty much every person from Kamala Harris on to Adam Schiff to all the local people over and over and over saying democracy is on the ballot. That if you vote for Trump, democracy as we know it will end. One of my favorite actors of all time hates Trump so much that he did a press conference. I'm talking about Robert De Niro. And he put specifics to the threat to democracy called Donald Trump. He said if you vote for Trump and he's elected, it will be the last election you will be able to vote in because he's going to take away your right to vote. Now, I understand people getting behind their candidates, bending the truth, stretching the truth, trying to demean the other candidate. That was the case all the way back at the beginning of this country. It's nothing new. We think it is. But we just have the technology to reach more people instantly when somebody says something like that. The forefathers went at each other left and right. But to bald-faced lie like that and think that the president has the ability to do that, even if they wanted to, which the president did not. In fact, protecting voting rights is one of the cornerstones of President Trump's and the Republican platform. Yet you have a man thinking that people are on his side are so stupid and dumb that they would believe that. Because all they want is you, the people that would believe such outrageous, stupid stuff, like he's a threat to democracy. He may be a threat to some of the things you hold dear. He may believe, might be a threat to those who want to keep kids going to failing schools and not give them options. He might be a threat to those who want to defund the police. He might be a threat to those who want to keep an open border and let 20 more million people come in that we don't know who they are. He might be a threat to those who want to keep wars going in Ukraine and the Middle East. He might be a threat to that, but he's not a threat to democracy, ability to go out and vote. Yet there you have, and covered by all the networks, Robert De Niro. He's not the only one. That's become the mantra, threaten democracy. Now you juxtapose that against what Trump has been saying. He's been saying some off-color things. His latest one, I don't like the fact that he said, I hate Taylor Swift. I don't like that. No, not savory, salty, bad, angry. I don't like that. He said that Kamala Harris is a Marxist. Okay. He's gone on and called people stupid and dumb and that sort of thing. I don't like that. But let's draw a difference here. Let's look at it. He said, I hate Taylor Swift, but he didn't say, go get in Taylor Swift's face when you see her or Travis Kelce or anybody else up in that skybox during the Kansas City Chief game, or any Swiftie fan that you see, get it in their face and tell them they don't belong here. That's what Maxine Waters said. Did anybody criticize Maxine Waters for that? Didn't hear one Democrat criticize for that. Physically get in their face, she said. Kamala Harris said it's pretty much all right to go in and be, in a restaurant and invade somebody's lunch, breakfast, or dinner, of which they did to many candidates. To attack Rand Paul, who I don't agree with everything Rand Paul says, but attacking him is okay. Physical violence is okay. All the way up to the point where I forget who it was, so I'm not going to say the name. I'll find it later and say on the show tomorrow. But someone, I think it was Chris Cuomo, during all this said, "Where does it say that demonstrations have to be peaceful?" It was said. I'm almost pretty sure it was Chris Cuomo. No pushback by the Democrats saying that's a little bit too far, Chris. That's different. You don't want to say that. You didn't hear that. But Trump, here's the difference. Trump's being called Hitler by high-ranking officials, either called Hitler or taking Hitlerian actions. Hitler, which first of all is so demeaning to any Jewish individual or black person around, or any minority, but in particularly Jews, that you would call this man and look at his life, in every aspect of his life, as unsavory as some of the things he did. He did nothing that approached what Hitler did. He was responsible for tens of millions of innocent people dying and 6.2 million Jews dead just because they're Jewish. They were Jewish. Did he call Kamala Harris a Marxist? Yes. But he did not call Kamala Harris Joseph Stalin, who killed 20 million people, of his own people. He drew the line. Joseph Stalin had the communist, as he called Kamala Harris, and communist, yeah. A lot about her record. You could look at that and say it's advanced socialism at the least, and very apparently more and more Marxist every day when you want price controls and all of this stuff, government control of everything. But he didn't call her Stalin. They said Trump is this, he's a strong man, he's this and that, and he's strong and this, he's male and all that, but he called him Hitler. They crossed the line. Because why is that important? Because if you're the one that can stop Hitler by any means necessary, including putting a bullet through him, you've done not only the American political system in America a favor, you've done the whole world a favor in your twisted mind. If you believe what Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party, the media have repeatedly, this is not some offshoot left-wing Alex Jones talking heads out lost in the internet saying these things. Here's your mainstream elected politicians that have called him Hitler and agreed with other people that call him Hitler. He has called certain people in their politics communists, look like communists. But I've yet to hear him call anyone, from Bernie Sanders to Tim Walz, who's been to communist China 30-something times and taking kids there to indoctrinate them. I've never heard Donald Trump once call anyone that he's called a communist, call them Mao. Why? Because Mao was the biggest mass murderer who embraced communism, who they revere in China, who Xi Jinping wants to follow in his footsteps, killed over 70 million of his own people. And some estimations go even higher. He didn't call anybody Mao or Joseph Stalin. I don't even think he's called anybody Fidel Castro, who doesn't carry around as big of a murderous tag as those other three, Hitler, Stalin, and Mao. Do you see what I'm getting at? There's lines that this former president seems to have drawn, yet he's attacked every day for having no lines, He'll call anybody anything. He's a threat to democracy. He's Hitler. Hitler, 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 left, right. They obviously have no lines. They will do anything, say anything, accuse this man of anything to stop him. And if you notice the lukewarm kind of laissez-faire reaction to this latest assassination attempt. And here's what I want people to think about who just are the ultimate Trump haters out there. Let's take politics aside. Let me appeal just for your heart's sake, for your soul's sake, because it's not good to hate to that level. I dislike a lot of people. I didn't like what Barack Obama did to the country. I didn't like what Joe Biden did to the country. But I didn't hate them. I never even called them names. I don't call names. I may say an action is stupid or it's a dumb statement to make, but I don't call people names. I'm a politically independent individual. And you can, well, why are you that way? I guess you have to blame my mom and dad, because I was taught that you treat people with respect, and you don't call names, even if they think the way you do, they don't think the way you do, and whether they're you know them, they're your friends or worst enemies, or you don't know them at all. You just don't call names, and that's just stuck with me. And you always look for some hope in people, some light in people. So I want to talk from that vein when I say this to you all that are watching out there and listening out there. And I would say it for Joe Biden. I have said it about Joe Biden, which I didn't agree with his policies at all. You know that. Anybody who's been watching this show. Kamala Harris was, along with him, she owns his legacy. Well, she's trying to run from it now, but as she said, I was the last ear that he talked to when he left the room. She agreed with everything that he did. But we're losing in this social media driven world where anything goes, and we're losing a human aspect of this. And I'm just using Donald Trump as an example for right now, but it could go for Kamala Harris, it could go for Joe Biden, any politician out there. As I said, even the ones that I just don't like what they stand for. They're human beings. Donald Trump is not a AI-generated character. He's not some figment of creation that doesn't have a heart. You say, "Oh, Alan, he does." Let me tell you, he does. He doesn't have a heart, doesn't it? But he does, and he has a family. You know, where was Melania and Barron when they heard about it this time? Because from all accounts, Melania Trump, who's usually stayed in the background, she's come up and said, "Look, I'm not getting the information I need about this first assassination attempt. My husband was almost killed. The father of my child, of my son, was almost killed. And the Secret Service and the administration is withholding information that they should have already gotten. Congress certainly should have already gotten. There's something really weird going on there." And you have Barron Trump, 18 years old, watching your dad get shot on television. He's got a daughter, 2 other sons. Eric Trump just came out the other day, yesterday, that happened. He says, "You know, my dad doesn't have, how many lives does he have? Someday it's going to be over if this doesn't stop." You know? Trump, being Trump, apparently he was even joking about it afterwards to tell people it's going to be okay. But it's not okay. This man's a father, just like you out there that are listening, and are fathers, and a grandfather, and a husband, and a friend. And we've seen it live and in living color. He bleeds just like we do. What other president in the history have we seen them bleeding for America? actually bleeding for America. We've heard about it with Abraham Lincoln. I think McKinley was assassinated, but we've never seen this. John F. Kennedy, there's a Zapruder film. You could say that, yes. And we found out then what a human being he was. A lot of people hated John Kennedy. It was a close election between him and Nixon. A lot of people tried to demonize John Kennedy, from his faith to his political beliefs. I mean, literally demonize him. But he was a human being. And that came crashing home to our heart and to our soul when we saw his son, John, saluting the casket when it went by. I think he was like 4 years old. Well, seeing Jackie Kennedy, distraught. I mean, these are images, I guess you got to be old enough. This generation, the millennials, the Generation Z, God forbid you ever have to see something like that before you humanize these politicians, even the ones that you hate. We're losing something in this country very, very precious, because we can never normalize violence. And in so many cases, we're doing that. And in this case, I sense the entrance into the world of normalization for attacks on presidents and high-ranking officials, where we kind of shrug the shoulders. I'm seeing it at school shootings. It happened a long time ago with violence in Chicago when it just come accepted. Well, it's Saturday night in Chicago. We're going to lose 10 kids under the age of 15 to gun violence. Gangs. You go to Chicago, New York, that's just accepted. Friday night, we'll be lucky if we can, maybe only 5 or 6 will get shot dead. Saturday night, under 15 get shot dead. That's acceptable. You say, Alan, how can you talk that way? It's not easy. It hurts, but it's true. It's true. This whole violent world is depending on us not to only be a beacon of freedom, but to stand up regardless of whether we hate the candidate, love the candidate, somewhere in between, to strongly condemn that violence. And for goodness sake, give a candidate for president who is the nominee of the party. And I would say this, if Trump was president and Joe Biden was running against him, or Kamala Harris, goodness sake, you have to give the same amount of protection to each of those candidates. Well, Alan, they're doing that now. No, they're not. That's what Melania is saying. They're not doing that. Does that surprise you? Yeah, it did me. Dang right it did me. Yeah, they were told, why do you think Kim Cheadle, the head of Secret Service, is gone? Their top dog, gone. The local law enforcement in Butler, Pennsylvania, told the Secret Service, you need somebody up on that roof right there. They just said they didn't have the manpower. Come on. You're running a $47 trillion deficit, and you got $6.7 trillion to fund the spending for this country, and you got like $3.7 trillion to fund the, quote, Inflation Reduction Act, when it's actually a climate change inflation igniting act, and you can't find enough to put a few more agents to help the candidate, to where when you're going on the golf course, yeah, you protect him on the right and the left when he's on the golf cart there, but you have several agents out on the perimeter. This guy was getting ready to shoot from the perimeter. You get agents outside right there at the perimeter. If you had that, he would have been seen. But he didn't have it. Didn't have near the level of protection. Fox News just ran, I saw it up here, the headline, said growing call for more protection for Donald Trump. Well, you think? Should that not have happened before Butler? Common sense would tell you yes, if you're calling somebody Hitler every 10 seconds. You've got you've got folks with unstable minds that are running out there at the encouragement of these politicians calling him Hitler to go get rid of Hitler. You've got Iran with a contract out on Trump that said we're coming after him. You've got Hamas coming after him. You think before this happened at Butler, he should have had at least the same amount of protection of Joe Biden. But surely after Butler, you would increase it where you would have a secure perimeter wherever this guy goes. But you know what they give us? That's why they're saying that the Secret Service should be put back under the Department of Treasury. Now, I don't know why the Department of Treasury, but apparently the experts say they reacted better. They were better under that. They were more focused under the Department of Treasury than they are under the Department of Homeland Security. They get lost in all that security stuff. When they're over under the Department of Treasury, they said all these things would have been handled. Again, I don't know the details of why. It seems kind of an odd, partnership to have them under the Department of Treasury. But again, I'm listening to the experts. I'm following the science. So that looks like that may happen. But my goodness, it makes you wonder if people say, well, Melania's getting paranoid. Why would you question whether there would be a deep state, and that deep state is anti-Trump? After all this has happened, if you still say that now, you're a crazy far-right conspiracy theorist. What? She finally says, I can't stay silent. She did the video. Look, that's my husband out there that was shot in the head. Not only that, that's my son's father, and he's traumatized. And you may not love him or care about him, but I do because I gave birth to him, to my son Bear. He may be 6'8", but he's still a kid trying to go to college. And twice now, he thinks his father almost gets shot dead. And you're giving me no information of how this happened, why you reduced the protection for my husband, his father, and you question that? Let me look into it right now. If you were in Melania's place, and I'm talking about the farthest left, worst or best, whatever, Trump hater out there, James Carville, all of you guys, Nancy Pelosi, ripping Nancy Pelosi during the State of the Union. You talk about reacting with temper. They say Trump has a temper, that he was triggered. When did he tear up somebody's speech? You don't. But I'm talking. I'm going to look you right in the eyes and ask you this. What would you do, Nancy Pelosi, if it was your husband? We know what you did, what you would do. Why? How do we know that? Because we know how you read the Riot Act to the protection of authorities, to law enforcement and everybody else, when the crazy guy went after your husband with a hammer. We know what you did. You said, I'm not going to have this happen to me. I want protection, more protection. And you know what? You got it. Kamala Harris, you were to Senate when the January 6th folks, okay, we need more protection. You got it. You got a fence around your place to keep people out. Plus increase security for you and every other member of Congress, doubling down on the Democrats like AOC. Did you hear me complain about that? No, because it was common sense, the right thing to do. Now look what you're doing with Trump. He was told, and we're going to find out, this is not me making this up because I'm getting a little passionate here, but because I've had it. I've had it. You mess ass around and let this man get killed, you'll divide this country for generations. He will become a martyr this country will never forget, and it won't be good. Well, Alan, you're overreacting. Overreacting? Oh, you got to be cool like Kamala Harris was during the debate. You see how she triggered Trump? Well, some things are worth being triggered. When you can't sit up there and say you're going to secure the border so 20 million people more don't come over, that you really still haven't debunked or just gone walk back your defund the police stuff, and you have a man saying, look, this country is heading over the cliff. And we need to stop getting involved in wars. We're this close, a frog hair away from World War III. Our borders are a mess. Our country's going to be bankrupt. And I get passionate about that, or I get a little angry that the moderators of that thing are fact-checking me and not fact-checking you. And our one time we get to talk to the American people, but you want me to be cool. Well, Miss Harris, why? Because, and you see Taylor Swift's tweet says it all. She's winning with these people. Because she didn't mention, and I think Taylor Swift probably a great young lady, many aspects of her life. But she's been so misled. She's lived in the bubble so long. You know, she in her tweet when she supported Harris, she says, I just want somebody who's calm. Calm, guys. I've been around Trump in situations. In chaos, when he's around doing business, he's a very calm guy. What'll trigger him is when he sees dirty, bad politics start taking the country down the tube. Why? Because he loves his country. But Harris, you look at these people after January 6th, that took all of these extra measures, I'm bringing us back to that, yet you have a guy, and I don't remember his name, but I'll have it for tomorrow, hopefully, or just go on the news and Google it, actually came out and said it. Well, Donald Trump, and he's with the Secret Service, was a former president. He's not the sitting president. So the sitting president needs more security than the former president. Phil, you look at this guy, you want to just, I'm not a violent person,
No.
but at all, what I'm saying is, but sometimes you just need a little slap like Cher did to Nicolas Cage, I think, in one of the movies. He says, snap out of it. You know what you're saying? You need to load up, double down, triple down on guarding Joe Biden, which you should, on the beach while he's licking an ice cream. Okay, do it. Triple, double down. There could be somebody out on a boat 1,000 away with a rifle. I'm all for that. It's crazy, violent times. There's a lot of ways to off somebody now. But when a guy's doing outdoor rallies, wide open with thousands of people, and you reduce that level that you would give a president, that makes no sense to me other than you have an agenda that at the very least you could care less if something happens to the former president, and at the very worst, you're wishing something does happen to the president. I don't want to think the first one is bad enough. You're just incompetent. You just got, that wouldn't happen in a million years, a guy climbing up on the building there. Okay, naive, stupid, all that. I get, I could say, okay, a lot of incompetent people in government. I used to work in government. Okay, I get that. But it's a second piece, and that's what Melania is concerned about. Do you have some people in high-ranking places who would really like to see something happen to the president if they knew they wouldn't be blamed for it? And I know this triggers some people on the left, but dadgummit, there's too many things that have happened not to put it on the table for discussion. And all you people that are all say, well, we should discuss it. We should have a national conversation about this. Well, in this show, we're happening. And I guarantee you there are people out there listening that will call me a Trump apologist, a MAGA this, MAGA that, simply because I want to know the facts of why this president did not get the protection he obviously needed, not only once, but twice now. And both of those times nearly cost his life. And I don't know if you can't find the common sense in that, and quite honestly, the non-political nature of asking that question, I don't know. I think maybe you need to take a break from whatever party you're in, Democrat, Republican Party, go to the beach, exhale, relax your brain. Because you know what? I'm not calling you names. There's some crazy, bizarre stuff going on up there in that mind. If you can't see the non-political nature of this, of why we need to protect our political candidates, whether we like them or not. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat. Love you all so much. Miss you so much. And we'll have some announcements coming up pretty soon on a new time slot here with Guillermo Marino. Phil, thank you, buddy. Couldn't do it without you.
Sir.
God bless you. God bless America. And just do your best and let God do the rest. I promise you, it's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. Love y'all. Bye-bye now.
Others are blue. It's the way you ride that train.